Well, welcome back. It's now session 5 on this research and your dissertation, and this section is on ethics. Now, this one shouldn't take you too long, and all the guidance you need for this is already contained within the guidance offered to students on the website. So I'm just going to virtually replicate what's already been clearly laid out. So if you're looking for your research ethics application, you'll find the relevant site on the website. I'll give you that later on, and you can just go there and get the same information from there. So what you've got to remember is that we're going to be asking for ethics approval before you start commencing data collection. Now, if you don't do that, then basically you're not going to be working under the auspices of the university. And in order to get the backup of the university, you've got to actually make sure you complete your ethics application. Now, this includes the handling of both primary and secondary data. If you're struggling with those terms, primary data is where you generate the information yourself. Secondary data is where the information exists already and you're examining it. When you do the approval form, you should work in conjunction with your supervisor. So don't just do it and then send it in. Send in a draft, ask for feedback, and then when you two are happy, it's passed on to a third person who will then give the approval. You will get a letter, probably from me, if you're on the MBA, saying that your approval, your ethics has been approved, and that copy of that letter must be in the final dissertation, just in the appendices. You don't need to put the whole of the ethics application in, just the final bit which says we've approved it. Now, most of the ethics principles, revolve around the rights of the individual as opposed to the benefits of the majority, and so we work hard to protect the interests of people you are wanting to work with. So human participants, and particularly children, are vulnerable and exploitable. So we need to make sure that when you're looking after them, we need to make sure you are looking after them. Now, children is more difficult because you cannot ask direct permission from them. Technically, you only need permission. You can only get permission from the parents. A number of students sometimes think that they can ask the principal or the head teacher of a school. No, parents have to give the permission for anyone under the age of majority. That makes it more complex. Problems can occur while participants are actually taking part in the research. So what we do is two things. One, they always have the right to withdraw. And the second one is, if there is a change to the circumstances, it's quite legitimate to change your ethical approval application. So, first and foremost, all these considerations, as I said, are available to you through the website. So how are ethics negotiated with the participants? What power relation hierarchies are your consideration? Are you doing research? How can we create an interactive and responsible process for developing codes and agreements with our partners? And do respondents have different ethical priorities to those researchers may take as granted as good practice? Now, all of those things need to be discussed in your ethics application. What you are saying to participants is that this is the way in which you are going to behave, and the university is backing you up in that. Now, one of the challenges we have with a degree like the MBA, to look at the second bullet point, is that very often people who are doing the MBA are in senior executive roles, and so there is a power imbalance and a hierarchical imbalance often with the people who are being investigated or the participants. So I talked about that a lot during positionality in the last set of slides, just to make sure that's there. What I do want you to do in the third and fourth bullet points is to spend some time looking at some of the guidelines. BERA, which is the British Education Research Association, published a nice guide. I think the latest edition was 2018. So you look at that. So general principles of ethics: people have the right to withdraw at any stage. They don't have to give you a reason. They have the right to withdraw. You should provide information about what it is you're trying to find. There is no hidden secrets here. We're not trying to second guess people or get people to second guess what we're doing. You tell them precisely what you're doing, and then you must make sure that any distress that could have been caused by the research is reduced as much as possible. So, for example, if you ask questions about the attitude and behaviours of other people, you are putting them in a potentially stressful situation. So you need to be conscious of that. Okay. I'm always a bit puzzled about the difference between anonymity and confidentiality. Confidentiality means you don't tell anyone. Anonymous means you are keeping those people secret and you're not revealing their identities. And I think that's quite important to make sure that you give a guarantee that you are not going to use anything which identifies an individual without giving them an assurance that they will have the right to say whether they want that to be in the public domain or not. And remember, your dissertation will be in the public domain. A lot of researchers don't bother to tell people what happened once they've done the research. Well, it's only fair to give a debriefing. Okay, so I think it's fair to write a short summary of what you discovered and let people know what you've done with the research. Okay, so more guidelines. Okay, so have you told people they'll be debriefed at the end of the session? Their role has been fully explained, and have they been given an opportunity to see the completed study? Now, most people don't want to know when they participate in this summit. That's not the point. You should be making the offer. Okay? And have they been protected, as it is in the previous slide, from any psychological, emotional, social, and physical distress? Okay. Now, if that has occurred for any reason, you can't go back and change that. What you have to do is report what happened when you're writing up your research. So, ethics approval form. You download the form from the site, and I think I've made a connection there, which should get you straight to the guidance and the application process. Okay, and there's several parts that need to be completed. Now, when we get the document from you, we only want one document, please. So, although it says attachments, what we're looking for is letters of informed consent, if you look under participants, okay, the agreements to participate, okay, things of that nature. It's all clear on the ethics guidance, but when you get it and you complete and submit your ethics approval form, okay, can you make sure it's one document only? So, look at the ethics approval form. Ask yourself what are the implications for your proposed research, and have you prepared letters of informed consent and agreement of participants? So what you've got to do is use the template and let people know what you're doing, okay, which is the letter of informed consent, and give them a chance to sign to say they've agreed to that. So that's the end of the ethics procedure. Okay, so it's not a long set of slides, this one. Most of the work revolves around going to the website, finding the document, downloading it, and looking at it. Okay, so we'll stop there, and I will see you in a little while on slide 6.